Okay, folks, let's have a chat. I got the camera plugged in, just in case the battery doesn't last long enough, so I'm hoping. I don't want to go through all this and find out that it didn't work properly, so I did do a quick test and it seemed to work, so we'll see what happens. So, years ago, as my longtime followers will know, I used to ride my bike. I used to go out several times a year, and I used to go out. I always enjoyed riding my bike at night, in the rain, stormy nights, less likely anybody else being around. I loved it. I just loved it. And one time I was out, I was by the river, and I decided to go for a swim. And that particular night, for whatever reason, I'm usually ready for pretty much anything when I'm out. And that night, I wasn't prepared. I didn't have my water shoes with me, and normally I'd take them with me. I can't bike with them because it's too uncomfortable, but I'd take them with me, so if I ever decide to go into the width area, I have protection for my teeth, for my feet. So I wasn't prepared this night. So I went for a swim in the river barefoot. Don't do that, by the way. It's so dangerous. Well, I stepped on something. It could have been broken glass. It could have been a sharp rock. It could have been a clamshell. It could be a piece of steel. It could have been anything. And the river could be anything. So I cut my foot pretty bad right in the arch. And I did go to the hospital. I had it cleaned out. I didn't get stitches. I probably should have, but I didn't. And it healed up. So it wasn't an issue. So, let's go back even further. Go back to the 90s, 1994. Yeah, 1994, I believe it was. I was in a suicidal state at that time. I was living in Brantford, in my basement apartment. I loved it there. It was a great place. And I went for a walk with a friend one night. And this cat just kind of appeared and started following us. I didn't give it any attention. Pretty much ignored him. Told him to get off the road a couple times because there was a car coming, but other than that, didn't speak to him. Well, he followed us for a long ways, and he followed us right back to my apartment. And I saw him in the window a few times, ignored him. And next morning I woke up, he was still there. So I opened the door, he came in, and he sniffed around a little bit. I gave him something to eat. He ate it, and then he continued sniffing around. He wanted back out, so I opened the door. I watched him for a bit. He went over and he sprayed the neighbor's fence. So I said, well, I guess he's declared this his new home because he's marking his territory. And he stayed with me. It was an amazing cat. I believe he was a chartreux. Chartreuse are just beautiful. He was all gray, a solid gray, and when the sunlight hit him, and he turned into a rainbow, just an iridescent color. It was just beautiful. And he was just an amazing cat. And the only cat I've ever had that would play fetch. I had this little rubber ball, 1-inch ball. I'd toss it and he'd go running after it and he'd grab it and he'd bring it back to me and spit it out at my feet. So eventually I began calling that ball a patooey. Because he'd catch it and he'd bring it back and spit it out, patooey. So I called it his patooey. He was just an amazing cat, and he showed up at the right time. You know. So I called him my angel without wings. And he was in my life for 11 years. So I moved into this 17-foot travel trailer. The place I was at, the rent was pretty cheap, but the electricity was quite phenomenal. It was electric boiler, and the first cold weather month, my electricity bill was pretty high, so I turned the heat down. Next month it was higher, so I turned it down even more. And the more I turned the heat down, the higher it was costing me to heat. I couldn't figure it out. And then I realized it's a boiler, so the less it comes on, the longer time it has for the water to cool down. And all the electricity I was spending was heating this water up. So once I realized that, the next month I cranked the heat up and my hydro bill just dropped. So, wow. But it was out of town. I was working in Hanover at the time, and I was living in Chesley. And it was a long drive. In winter, that highway really sucks in the winter time. So I was missing days from work, just like the highway was closed. I couldn't get to work, right? So it was pretty crazy. So bought a trailer, making monthly payments on it is the only way I can do it. It was a 17-foot travel trailer. And I moved onto my friend's property at the time. They were living at the top of the hill in Walkerton. Not any closer to work. But I was paying a little bit less for rent. And my only other expense was, it's the hydro. I had a hydro hookup, electricity hookup, so that was kind of included in the rent. And the only other expense I had was propane. So I was using the big cans, not the barbecue size, but the next size up, 60-pounders, I think they're called. And in the really, really cold part of the year, like in February, when it was minus 20, minus 30, I was going through one of those tanks every 2 days, so it got pretty pricey, and it really sucked. I wake up, and it's like the heat's off, so it's like freezing cold, so I gotta get out of this nice warm bed, into the cold, put on cold clothes, go outside into the cold, change a frozen tank, come back in, and fight with that heater. Heater did not like to ignite when it was cold. That was horrible. But other than that, I loved living there. And it just got to the point where in the summertime, when we had tornado threats, that's where I developed my fear of the wind. I always worried, is this the storm that's going to blow me across the field? Right? It was very stressful. But I loved living there. So, at some point during that time, I started having issues with my foot. I had a lump on my foot. I couldn't figure out what it was. And for the most part, it wouldn't bother me until I tried walking. And it got to be pretty painful. I was working nights at Walmart. I was on my feet all night, walking a lot. And it was really getting to be, an issue. So I went to the hospital. They did an ultrasound on it. And the girl that was doing it, she had no idea what it was. So, she's looking at it, and she made this comment. She showed me it. It was just this little tiny little light white dot. And she says, almost like a speck of sand or something. As soon as she said that, I said, yep, that's what it'll be. That goes back to when I cut my foot in the river and they cleaned it out. Apparently they missed a single grain of sand. And I began growing a pearl. So the reason it was hurting was because this lump was getting bigger, expanding, and it was connecting to a tendon in the arch of my foot. And that's where the pain was coming from. So I had to schedule surgery to get that removed. So, that was in December. I don't remember, December 19th, I think it was. So, I had a month off of work. I had vacation pay. I believe I had profit sharing saved up at that time as well. I can't remember. But it was paid leave. It was paid time off. So that was good. So I got surgery. So now I'm only on one foot. I got crutches. And somebody I worked with offered me his basement. So I had an opportunity to get out of this trailer. So at that point, I loved it. I loved the independence. I can't stress it enough. I loved living there. I just couldn't handle the weather anymore. And being on crutches, it was rough changing the propane tanks. They're not light. They're pretty heavy. So, yeah, I guess now's the time. So before that happened, Christmas came along. I went down to Paris, visit my parents for Christmas. And when I came home, my cat, Nikita, was having problems peeing. He'd go to the litter box. He wouldn't pee. He'd start howling. And just when he's walking around, he's like dribbling all over the place. So I immediately called the vet and explained what was happening. She says, "You need to bring him in right away." So took him to the vet, and she kind of squeezed his belly, put pressure on his bladder, forced him to pee, and she took a sample of his urine, and he had a lot of white blood cells, so he had an infection for sure, but she says he's got crystals in his urine, so it's actually painful for him to pee. That's why he's not peeing. Oh, wonderful. So I think he was on antibiotics, I don't remember, but he was on prescription food. And the purpose of this food was to make him thirsty so he drinks more, and the extra drinking would make him pee more, which would take care of this crystal problem. $20 a bag it was. So, okay, that's what I gotta do for him, and that's what I'm gonna do. So, okay, that took care of that. And then the end of the month came along, and I moved into my coworker's basement. He wasn't a nice person to live with. I'm not gonna say a lot about it. I'll just leave it at that. He wasn't a nice person to live with, so it wasn't working out very well. So, shortly after I got there, I got the flu. And it was a nasty flu. It was the worst flu I've had in my entire life. It was horrible. It lasted 7 days. And as I'm recovering from that, Nikita's kidneys failed. So I didn't know what the issue was. I knew he was having a problem. I went back to the vet, and when they determined, here's the problem. There's medication I could give him. I couldn't afford it. The cost of this medication was more than my paycheck. So I had to make the decision, put him down. That was the hardest thing. I've lost a lot of cats, but that one, it was my angel. And that one was the hardest one for me to do. So, how does this relate to everything? I have fibromyalgia. And fibromyalgia, they don't know the actual cause. There's a lot of things that they attribute to the onset of it. One of them is a recent surgery. There is a major illness, a major loss in your life, a traumatic loss, a major change in your life, moving out of that trailer into this basement. Stress, I'm not sure if I said it already, a recent surgery. In the span of a month, I had all of those. That was January. February, my symptoms began. So I believe that's how my fibromyalgia started. Thankfully, all this happened within this month that I was off work. I had the time to deal with it. I had time off work to deal with everything. So, first thing that happened was it felt like I wasn't getting enough sleep. 8 hours, 18 hours didn't make any difference. It just felt like I wasn't getting enough sleep. I was always tired. Then I started getting headaches. And I had to use the washroom one night. And I was sitting at my computer. I wanted to finish what I was doing first. And I had to go. It was getting worse. So as soon as I stood up, I couldn't hold it. So those were the three. That's how my illness started. Those three things: the fatigue, the headaches, and a lack of bowel control. So I didn't have a doctor at that time. I'm shivering. I don't know why I'm so cold. I don't know. I didn't have a doctor at the time. So I started missing time from work. And Walmart being Walmart, you start missing time, they require doctor's notes, right? So I was going to Emerge, and I couldn't find anything. And every time I go, I had to pay for this stupid doctor's note, and it was getting crazy. So eventually, one of the doctors diagnosed me with the fibromyalgia, or suspected fibromyalgia. I was tested for a whole bunch of things. I was tested for multiple sclerosis, which has the same symptoms. And I think lupus I was tested for. Fibromyalgia you can't test for. It is diagnosed by symptoms. So there's no actual test to say, yep, that's what you got, right? So it's diagnosed by symptoms. And basically, process of elimination, all the other illnesses that share those symptoms that can be tested for, they test those first. And with not having everything else, they determine that's what it is. So that's how I got fibromyalgia. So, how does it affect me? Well, I get exhausted really fast. Like, very fast. It causes depression, which I already suffer for, but you didn't know that. So it kind of amplifies the depression that I already go through. I shake. I don't have endurance with anything. I can't keep a schedule. I can't sleep unless my body wants to. I can't stay awake unless my body wants to, which is part of the reason I can't keep a schedule. And part of the reason why I had to eventually quit working, because I couldn't do it. I just couldn't do it. And that was a hard thing to do as well. The manager at the time, she understood fibromyalgia. She actually explained to me more than the doctor did. She helped me understand what was actually going on. So she gave me all the easiest jobs, and I still couldn't do it. I was only working half shifts. By the time lunchtime came around, I couldn't go on. So they were going to drop me down to part-time status, and if that happened, I would have lost my profit sharing. I was depending on that money. So we had a talk one day, and we determined the best thing for me was to quit. Because then I'd get my profit sharing. I had this bulk money that came in. I'd be able to pay off my car, which I was still paying for at that time. And it was just the best thing to do. So that's what I ended up doing. The scariest part is I get power failures. That's what I'd call them. It's like someone flicking a switch and my body would just shut off and I'd collapse. And I actually caught that on video one day. So the issue I have right now is I have a lot of new viewers that don't understand my illness, and I hear often, you look fine to me. Well, you can't see fibromyalgia. And when I make my videos, I try not to show my illness. I do what I do, and I try to leave that out. It's getting harder and harder to do that now. But this one, I showed it just so people can see, this is what I go through. And I get Fibro Fog, which is confusion. I'll say something and it'll come out completely different and I won't even notice. Or I'll be like mid-sentence and all of a sudden I'll just suddenly forget about what I was talking about, which you've seen that happen a lot. Or I get distracted. It's like something, I'll hear a noise or something and I'll try to figure out what that noise is. I'll start talking, I'll continue talking, and then but it's still in my mind, what was that, right? And it throws me off track. So, this is a very uncomfortable chair to sit on. So, I tried so many different medications. Nothing really works. You can't treat fibromyalgia, you can only treat the symptoms. Painkillers, antidepressants, different things. And the problem with that is the side effects from it cause other issues that are uncomfortable. Oh yeah, I got the restless leg syndrome, which is always wonderful. So, the medications that I take, they have this wonderful ability to cause dry mouth. And what that is your mouth stops producing saliva. So you get this horrible aluminum taste. And the only thing I found to combat that is coffee. That's why I have a Tim Hortons addiction. That's why you always see me with the coffee in my hand. This is my medication. This medication combats the side effects of the prescription medication. And I don't guzzle it. Coffee will last me for hours. This is cold. I bought this when I was out earlier. And I'm still, I just sip on it once in a while. And it gets rid of that taste in my mouth. This is the only thing that gets rid of that. That's why I've always got a coffee in my hand. And it's not always Tim Hortons. Homebrew works too. Coffee is coffee. Doesn't matter where it's from. And I reuse the cups. So I can use these 3 or 4 times at least until they start leaking. So when you see me with a Tim Hortons cup, it doesn't necessarily mean it's Tim Hortons. It's just coffee. I've always got it. And that's why you always see me with a coffee. So another issue that I have is if I squat down, the longer my legs are bent, then the harder it is to straighten them out. Yeah, I said that right. Straighten them out again. That's one of the reasons why I buy shoes. They either don't have laces or have elastic laces, so I don't have to bend down to tie my shoelaces up because it's really hard to get back up. And in the wintertime, one of the reasons I hate winter is because I have to put so many layers of clothes on, and by the time I'm ready to come out, I'm completely exhausted. I hate it. I really hate it. That's why I love summer. No shirt, just a pair of shorts and sandals. Nice and simple, easy. But winter, there's so much preparation that I have to do, and it's difficult, and that's why I don't shave. I just don't have the energy to do it. I trim once in a while, and that's all I do, but I don't shave it off anymore. I just kind of trim it with the scissors as I'm sitting at the computer. So, and same with my hair. That's how I cut my hair too. Just trim little bits here and there as I watch TV or something. So basically, I get one good project a day, and that's what you see in the videos. You see what it is I'm doing. You're only seeing a short snippet of my day. You don't see how that affects me. And you don't see the torture I put myself through to do these videos. And that's where the misunderstanding is coming from. You look okay. Of course I do, because I'm making myself look okay. Because I'm not showing how it affects me in my videos. And you don't see, the rest of my day where I can't do anything else because I've done these videos. So that's where the confusion is. As fibromyalgia is not an illness that you can see. And people don't understand why, I drive a mobility scooter. Well, you can walk fine. No, I can't. I can't walk fine. I can stand and I can walk a little bit, but I get exhausted really quickly, and then I'm done for the rest of the day. I got nothing left. So, you don't see that. You don't see what happens off screen. You don't see what happens behind the scenes. You only see what I'm showing you, and I'm intentionally not showing you my illness. And to me, that's the hardest part. Dealing with people that don't understand. When I explain it, they either accept that or no, I'm scamming. That's the hardest part for me. I'm scamming. Who am I scamming? I had somebody say he was an EMT from Texas or something, so he's a medical professional or whatever, and he's angry at me because I'm using a scooter and I'm taking it from somebody who needs it. What? That doesn't even make sense. There's no shortage in scooters. There's not a limited supply. I'm not taking anything from anybody. I bought it with my own money. I'm still paying for it, by the way. I still got another 2 years to finish paying for it. A year and a half. 2023 is when I'll be finished paying for it. I bought it from a dealer. I'm not taking it from anybody. And who are you to tell me I don't need it anyways? You know nothing about me. Right? It really angers me sometimes. But if people have questions and ask why I'm driving a scooter when it appears I don't need it, that I don't mind. That I understand. But to accuse me of scamming, accuse me of taking a scooter from someone who actually needs it, that pisses me off. It really does. And it's times like that when I wish I had an illness that people could actually see so they could understand. People think mobility scooters are wheelchairs. They're not wheelchairs. They're transportation. That's all they are. And even wheelchairs aren't even specifically for people who can't walk. They're not specifically for paralyzed people. They have a wide range of medical assistance uses. It's just people just don't understand it. And then they compare it to Walmart scooters, right? It's quote unquote for fat, lazy people. And that stigma just kind of carries on into everything. It's so hard to deal with. And like I say, if people ask me, why I'm using it. I don't mind that. Even the most common comments is you look okay to me. Even that I don't mind. But I get that because you don't see my illness. I understand that. I completely understand that, and it doesn't offend me when people ask me. Ask me, I don't have a problem with. Accuse me, that's a different story. And it's probably the hardest thing I deal with my illness. Aside from the mental not being able to do anything anymore. Because I was normal. I haven't always had that. I wasn't born with this. I was normal. I was fully functional. I was able to do pretty much anything. And then one day, all of a sudden, I can't do it anymore. And that's hard to deal with. For an able-bodied person, that's really hard to deal with. That now you can't do anything. It's something as simple as bending down and tying my shoelaces. Imagine not being able to do that anymore. It really, really affects your mind. And a lot of the processes that I do, one of the main reasons I bought the Monster and modify it so I can do things that I can't do with a normal scooter. I've been accused of having a midlife crisis. I was actually asked that. Are you having a midlife crisis? Is that why you bought the Monster? It's like the Ferrari of the scooters, right? No. That's possible. I'm sure there may be part of that, but the reason that midlife crisis happened is because every year my illness gets worse. I want to have fun while I still can. And that's maybe in the back of my mind, maybe, I don't know. But that's the main reason I bought the Monster, and that's the main reason I was modifying it for longer distances and to take it out to the Allen Park Conservation Area. I want to have fun while I still can because I know the day's going to come when I can't do that anymore. And I think that day's arrived. Sorry guys, I didn't think I'd get emotional. As you've seen, I get what's called remission periods. They usually happen in the summer, mostly happen in the summer, where my symptoms kind of ease off. Another thing too is every issue that I have doesn't affect me every day. It's different every day. I don't know what to expect one day from the next. One day, my exhaustion will be the dominant illness or the dominant symptom. The next day, the depression will be the dominant symptom. The next day, it'll be the irritable bowel syndrome. And when that happens, I can't be far from a washroom because I don't get a lot of notice. All of a sudden I have to go, and I have to go now. I cannot hold it. So, I can't be far from a washroom. And I can't take any kind of medication for that because it starts out as diarrhea and it ends as constipation. Sorry for the too much information. But that's the only way I can explain it. And if you can imagine that, you need to use the washroom now or you're not going to make it. But once you get there, you can't go. You can't take medication for diarrhea because it makes the constipation worse. You can't take medication for constipation because it makes the diarrhea worse. And you're going to mess your pants. There's nothing that can be done about it. And that's so hard to deal with. And it's like, I never know. One day to the next, I never know what's going to be worse. So that's hard to deal with. And in the summertime, thankfully, it's my favorite time of year. That eases off. It doesn't go away completely, but it eases. And then towards the end of summer, I gotta get everything ready for winter. And I kind of rush to get things done. And then all of a sudden, bang, At some point, my illness comes crashing down again, and it's worse than the previous year, and every year it gets worse. And sometimes I bring it on by by overworking, trying to get everything finished and ready for winter. And this year's the worst it's been. I neglected the monster all summer because I wanted to have fun. I think in the back of my mind I knew, but I just wanted to have. I didn't want to have any downtime. The only thing that I actually did with the monster this year that I can think of was I changed one flat tire. I don't think I had more than one flat tire this year. That's awesome. I think that's the only thing I did with the monster all year. I don't think I did anything else. I can't think of anything else. Except maybe put the front bumper light on. The new one, the 120 watt one, I think I did that this year. I don't remember. I don't remember having it last winter, so I think so. Because I want to see what that looks like in the snow at night. I might go tonight just for that, because it's snowing right now. But this year, my illness came back really bad. It's the worst it's ever been. And it came back early. I'm not ready. I got so much that needs to be done. And I started, the front wheel of the monster's on an angle like this. Those steering bearings have to be fixed. I can't do it. I physically can't do it. I don't know what I'm gonna do. So the other day, I went to Owen Sound Wazak. I went to Walmart and just walking around the store, and that was my day. And like I say, I knew at some point in time I wanted to have fun, because I knew at some point that was going to come to an end. And I realized that day that the end has come. So my fun is finished. At this point, I need to find somebody else to fix the monster for me. I can't do it. And it kills me to say that. It kills me to think that. So what does that mean for my videos? As long as the monster's working, I'm still going out. I can't do much right now. I still haven't got my batteries. But I can't hide my illness anymore. I can't pretend it doesn't exist. It's got so bad now. I have to force myself to get out of bed to come out here to do anything. And I can't tell you how that affects me emotionally. So, I don't know, guys. I still gotta finish cleaning up out here. I gotta take the green screen down. It's gonna be in the way. I gotta get the snowblower out. I don't know what this winter's gonna do. I don't think I've recovered from last winter. I think this started last winter. I haven't recovered from that yet, and it's supposed to be a bad winter this year. I'm hoping they're wrong, but I don't know how I'm going to deal with the snow. I'm not going to be physically able to deal with the snow this year. There's a lot of stuff I'm not going to stop making videos. There's still stuff I can do, even I'm not going to be able to work on the monster anymore. There's little things I can do. I still want to make the rack on the back for the double bike bags. I can still do that because I won't have downtime on the monster to do that. I can work on that without sacrificing the use of the monster. But I honestly, at this point, I don't even know if I can change the ball joints on my own anymore. So I don't know. I don't know, guys. I can't. I've been told I shouldn't be doing what I'm doing. I'm not a technician. I shouldn't be working on the monster. I shouldn't be effing with it, as it was said. I don't have a choice. My dealer's hundreds of kilometers away. I can't. Last time they picked it up, it cost me $200 just to come pick it up and bring it back to me. I can't afford that every time it needs work. $200. That's my spending money for the month. I don't have a choice. I have to do things on my own. But as far as messing with it, I explained that. I want to have fun while I can. Most of the issues I have with the monster aren't related to what I'm doing or modifications or anything. It's a garbage machine. Anybody who owns one will tell you that. It's unreliable. It's too technical. It's got too much crap that can break down. It's not me doing it. I mean, there's people. I saw a review on Amazon. I was surprised to see the monster was actually on Amazon. They have a paraplegic son. They bought it for him. All he did was drive around the driveway. Within a month, the motor went. How is he abusing it? What's that got to do with the way he drives it? I guess I'm lucky my motor's been lasting me 2 years. Because that seems to be my max. Every 2 years, you need a new motor. And you can't just buy a motor. You gotta buy a whole new rear end on it. $1,100, $1,200 last time I bought one. Everybody I've read about that's had one, they've had the same problems as me. They don't use it the way I use it. Occasional use, light duty, they had the same problems as me. It's got nothing to do with what I'm doing. It's just a garbage machine. But, I had the ability to fix it. I know what the issues are now. I'm ready for it. The time comes along, I've got the parts. I know the wheel bearings need to be done every year. I know the ball joints need to be done every year. I've got the parts. Ready for it. The speedometer cable breaks every year. Oh, excuse me. I don't know, guys. I don't know what to do for future videos now. There is stuff that I can do in my computer. I still want to make the series how I became a photographer, what brought me up to the point where I'm at now. I still want to do that. I still can do that. I've got so many negatives to scan still. That takes a lot of work. There's so many to go through, and it's really not easy, especially now that I can't sit up anymore. I gotta lay back in bed and do it, and it's difficult. Because the cat gets interested in what I'm doing, and he'll lay on something, you know. So, I don't know, guys. I don't know. But I wanted to make this video. Because like I say, I have a lot of new viewers who don't understand my illness. So I wanted to explain what it is I have, why you don't see it, and why I was doing what I was doing. And now I can't do it anymore. So, I don't know. I don't know, guys. Especially now that winter's here. There's so much more to do in the winter physically. It's gonna be rough. It's gonna be rough. So, and it's affected my eyesight as well. So my eyes are. If I take my glasses off, I look out the window. The trees on the other side of the street, the next block over, they're in focus. The back of the house here is blurry. The trees to the side here are blurry. Everything close to me here is blurry. I can't see. And that was hard for me to tell. I always said that, you know, if I ever lose one of my senses, the worst one, the one I would not want to lose, would be my eyesight. And, you know, glasses help. They're not perfect. They help. I got 3 different ones. I got the ones that I use specifically for welding. They're only good for close-up. They're no good for anything else. These ones here are my newest glasses. They're bifocals. I use them when I'm sitting here because top lens, I can see out the window fairly clearly. I can see myself here clearly. And if I'm reading my phone, I got the extra magnification for reading my phone up close. That works for that. Oddly, these don't work on my computer. So I got cheap ones, $20 set that I bought from a pharmacy. They work for my computer. They're 2.75 or 3.75 magnification. No, those are the welding ones. The welding ones were whatever. The ones I use at my computer are 2.0. And they're fine. I can see the computer screen. And I can see a keyboard in my lap. The focal distance, I guess you could say, is wide enough that I can do that right now. So, what we got here? Okay, we're approaching the 20-minute mark here. So I can't think of anything else to say. I think I pretty much covered everything. So I guess I'll end here. And just I'll do what I can to keep making videos. I don't know what I will be doing. Let's just leave it at that. I don't know what my content's gonna be. But I guess we'll find out. So, thanks for watching, guys. And thanks for sticking with me throughout this turbulent last few months. But like I say, I can't hide it anymore. I can't hide it anymore. So, I am what I am. Anyways, thanks for watching, guys. Yeah, hopefully having the power cord plugged in didn't cause an issue with the audio. Anyway, that's all I got. Thanks for watching.